Hello guys, so today I have a new video for you. This past weekend, one of the craziest stories you'll ever hear arose from the 12-match week of the Portuguese Primeira Liga. This particular game saw 17th place OS Belenenses face off against Benfica in a brutal beatdown as Benfica runs away with the 3 points after scoring 7 goals in the first 45 minutes of the game. In fact, the entire game lasted 47 minutes. Well, how does that happen, you ask? The simplest possible answer is that OS Belenenses just ran out of players mid-game. Yeah, I know, that's weird. You see, the game was unbalanced from the very beginning. OS Belenenses, rocked by new COVID infections after players returned from the international break, only had 9 players, including 2 goalkeepers available for the game against Benfica. At the start of the second half, Benfica up by 7 goals at this point. Only 7 players came out of the locker room for Belenenses. 2 players reportedly sustained injuries. At the start of the second half, the goalkeeper playing as an outfield player kicked the ball out and sat to the ground, signaling that he was injured. With only 6 Belenenses players left, the referee had no choice but to end the game right then and there. The question is, considering that COVID was involved here, why was this game even allowed to take place? Well, according to the Portuguese league officials, their involvement and their lack of actions were completely in compliance of the rules. And objectively speaking, they are right about that. As long as both teams have 7 or more players available, the game can proceed. But this isn't just another random physiological injury or injuries. This involves a disease invisible to the naked eye, transmissible through the very air we breathe, which can only be detected when a player is clearly exhibiting symptoms or when a lab test is performed and shows up as positive. The events that took place before the game was just as absurd. You see, on the eve of the game, 10 Belenenses players received positive COVID tests and were ordered to isolate immediately. Sometimes later, that same evening, a total of 30 players were ordered to isolate, but 17 of those players were negative. They most likely came into contact with the positive cases. That leaves only 8 players, 2 of which were injured due to reasons unrelated to the virus. Belenenses now only had 6 players available for their game, which was happening the very next day. Despite all of that, the president of Belenenses himself came out and said that he intended to go through with the game and not request postponement. On game day, 3 players were withdrawn from isolation by health delegates, which then brought up the total amount of players to 9, a decision only made public an hour before the match was set to start, through the release of the official matchday team sheet of Belenenses. In the pre-match meeting, the Liga Portugal delegate questioned the match delegates of the clubs, both Belenenses and Benfica, about the possibility of postponement, and both stated that this was not a possibility. Considering the involvement of the new Omicron strain against the positive cases of the OS Belenenses, everybody involved in this matter should have exercised due diligence. To be fair, the Portuguese league officials, as late as it may be, have requested an explanation on what the criteria were applied before the release of those 3 players previously mentioned. It is also important to denote that as an institution, the Portuguese Primeira Liga is strictly in the sports and entertainment business. Its responsibilities do not include matters of public health. They can only follow what health officials advise them to do. With that being said, the fact that you follow the rules does not abstain you from your moral obligations. When health is the cause of concern, the Liga officials willfully chose to ignore the fact that COVID can be transmitted via air. Even if the people involved test negative, they can still harbor the virus within themselves. To ignore the fact that at this very moment, Portugal is dealing with a wave of new cases not seen in 4 months is utterly irresponsible. The league officials willfully ignored the existence of a new Omicron strain within the organization, which has the potential to be more dangerous than anything else seen previously. There is no excusing morally deficient practices. I think they keep forgetting that this is just entertainment. The organization is made up of individuals, and it is their safety that should matter first. You all should be ashamed of yourselves.
Real talk, you ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Lastly, all delegates from both Belenenses and Benfica had a hand to play in this. They allowed the game to start by not requesting postponement. I don't know if self-interest was at play here, as Belenenses was playing at home. We can only hope that there was no financial reason why delegates chose to proceed, as it only makes everything worse. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I had to stop preparing for other videos to cover this story, but I appreciate you all for your time. Like and subscribe and enjoy the rest of your day. I'll catch you later. Deuces.